YouTube, what's going on? HeirofCarthage here, coming to you from the deserts of Total War Warhammer 2. And yes, we've got a little more vampire action today, courtesy of Lord Oblivion. I told you I had another replay. This is the said replay, and I hope you all are excited to see it. I've done a ton of team battles. I'm going to keep doing team battles, but I wanted to put some 1v1 in here too, and since I hadn't had a chance to play any, I was very excited when I saw these from Lord Oblivion. The vampire counts are a fun faction. They've been around since the beginning of the game, and a lot of people still like to play them competitively. And so let's take a look at the army that Oblivion has today. He's got a couple of Black Knights and some Dire Wolves out here working a flank, and then his main army is a ton of Skeleton Warriors, and I believe there are some Graveguard as well. Am I mistaken? Maybe it's just a ton of Skellies. No, it's just a ton of Skeleton Boys. I was thinking of a different battle. Anyway, on this flank he's got more Black Knights and Dire Wolves, so this is a ton of mobility, plus 2 Fellbats in the back, a Mortis Engine, a Terrorgeist, and MANNFRED von Karstein on his Zombie Dragon. Now, before we get things too out of hand here, let's take a look at the High Elves army. It's actually led by Tyrion today. There's a Handmaiden here for support of missile units, not to mention her long-range capability and anti-large melee capability. The Handmaiden is an interesting unit and can certainly be used well to support High Elf armies. There's also a Lore Master of Hoeth, which is the wizard pick for this army, one that I hadn't considered in a long time because we're used to just seeing Ilariel. This Lore Master has an interesting mix of lores, and right now is rocking Melkoth's Mystifying Miasma, Spirit Leech, and Earthblood, which is going to give it an interesting role as an infantry killer / wizard. So, yeah. Anyway, we've got a line of spearmen up front, and they are protecting the Everqueen Court Guards, three units of archers. So this is a lot of archers to take against the vampire counts, and this represents, in my opinion, a classic risk matchup versus the vampires, and I wanted to see how Lord Oblivion handled this one. Vampires do not have any skirmishing. Some people know that you can pick off their leadership and gain victory, and that's exactly what the Wood Elves are hoping to do here. The trade-off to them not having skirmishing is that they can make your life a living nightmare with summons and mobility that doesn't rout. Dire Wolves don't rout. Black Knights, Blood Knights, none of them rout. And we're going to get things started early in that way here as these Everqueen Court Guards, although capable in melee, are going to find themselves very quickly bogged down with zombies. And they might defeat those zombies, but if it prevents them from shooting, and you can see how much damage between the Spirit Leech and the Archer Fire this is doing, then you'll understand. Anyway, I'm going to put it back into regular speed. The Dire Wolves are making their assault against some Illyrian Reavers. There is a Dragon Prince back in here as well. Now, the standard Black Knights, not a pick you see every time, but actually a pretty solid unit. They're shielded, they have decent melee stats, and they're good at kind of grindy fights like this where you need them to stay in melee against skirmishers or other infantry. And if they don't get charged, they'll do okay holding on in certain cavalry fights to you. You can see the Dragon Prince is kind of looking for a target. The other flank's about to collapse in on them as well. And you can see the Everqueen Court Guards running for their lives. The skeletons haven't even arrived in combat yet, so this is just MANNFRED and his cavalry. And you can see that the High Elves are in utter disarray trying to defend their skirmishing capability. And this is the risk you take when you bring this stuff against vampires. You got to be well prepared to protect it, because summons for days, mobility for days, and that's how they make up for the fact that they can't skirmish. It's a skirmishing all its own, really, right? The vampires don't have a missile skirmish, but they have a summon skirmish, and they can certainly get a lot of speed going. So the Dragon Princes are doing well in this fight, as of now at least, and the Terrorgeist is over here trying to pick off units. And finally you get a fight going with the High Elf Infantry. And with martial prowess, High Elf Infantry can be a real pain in the butt for vampires because their leadership and defense stays very high for considerable time. So it means the High Elves are certainly able to put up a fight in a lot of scenarios. Let's keep an eye on MANNFRED here. It's a big fight going here where the Everqueen Court Guards basically don't get to accomplish anything. And you can see MANNFRED is going to be looking for targets from above. And you can see the Dragon Prince is over here doing quite well in this fight. And he's going to drop a summon on some archers that are shooting at him. So again, this is MANNFRED's way of skirmishing. And then here's another way he can skirmish with breath attacks. Your most expensive unit, like this Dragon Prince back here, just gets decimated. So it was doing well against these cheap Black Knights, but then the leadership gets dropped, and all of a sudden it's in a terrible position. You can see how MANNFRED will just keep you busy with summons and other units. Anyway, MANNFRED, like I said, he can just keep pulling the winds of magic. Just keep pulling it and keep pulling it because of his abilities, so he can really lay a lot of summons and healing down on you. And at this point, the High Elves are in some pretty significant trouble. They've lost their mobility. They've lost their expensive skirmishing component. The Everqueen Court Guard costs as much as probably 3 or 4 archers on a standard basis. And all their leaders are engaged. I mean, the Lore Master's doing fine. Tyrion's doing fine. But look at this. They just keep getting bogged down in zombies. The Court Guard finally did get free to get some skirmishing done, and the Dragon Princes are on the way back, but then you saw the Dragon Princes routed, but the Black Knights did not. The Black Knights did not. Anyway, here we go. Direwolves finishing off units that are routing. It's another fantastic use for Direwolves. So, once again, I think overall a battle that has been very well played by Lord Oblivion. He came prepared to deal with a skirmish. His army was pretty well built for that, right? He's got very cheap infantry. Had this turned into a heavyweight infantry fight, he may have been in trouble. He did have some tools here. So let's think about his build and think about how it might stack up against several High Elf possibilities. One possibility the High Elves can drop on you is a whole bunch of Phoenix Guard. And Phoenix Guard can be a mess to deal with. But there is a Mortis engine here, and then MANNFRED has breath attacks. So, yeah, even the Phoenix Guard, there's some answer here for MANNFRED. And I do believe he's got the Wind of Death. Or actually, that could just be his special ability. Let's go check out his abilities. Master, okay, that's Master of the Black Arts, so I apologize. He is not rocking Wind of Death right now. So MANNFRED would have been a little risk here if he'd come up against a whole bunch of Phoenix Guardsmen, especially if they were supported by something tanky like Tyrion or Alariel to heal them. Could be a real problem. But I think there's enough varied army here. This Mortis engine can really suck the life out of units like that as well, as long as it's used properly. And then zombies can help bog down units like that for days while you kind of keep the Mortis engine coming in and out and healing it. So I do feel like his army has some variation to it. It's not just a one-trick pony per se, but it's also built well for what I would say would be a fairly typical High Elf build, which would be using their archery prowess to their advantage, right? And the vampires definitely built this army to turn that advantage into a disadvantage. And that's exactly what it is. The money spent on the Court Guard and the archers now cannot be spent to support this infantry fight. And MANNFRED's just going to run away, even though he's hurt, and he's hurt bad. He's just going to run away with this one, because there's nothing to stop him now. Nothing on the ground is going to actually be able to stop MANNFRED as long as he's got his hit point sponges around. So even though Tyrion's crazy strong, totally capable of fighting MANNFRED in this particular case, because of the damage he's taken early, just won't be enough. Just won't be enough. Sunfang coming in there. Tyrion trying to clean up some vampire infantry, more summons. MANNFRED just making life miserable for the High Elves and doing a very nice job. You can see Tyrion's arrived and he's looking to KO MANNFRED. He definitely wants to take him out, but he's got to deal with all the fell bats and everything else, and it's just not going to happen. Like I said, vampire lords are slippery. They can get out of situations that you wouldn't expect them to. So, yeah, let's watch this one finish up. Overall, the matchup between High Elves and Vampires is an interesting one. I mean, personally, I feel more confident playing as the Vampires in that matchup. And it's just because I don't do great with a whole bunch of micromanagement. Now, don't get me wrong, good micromanagement will make your Vampire play better. But I don't have to worry about, like, are my skirmishers going to hit the right target? Should I bring skirmishers? Should I not bring skirmishers? So I just tend to fare better with the vampire accounts in this matchup. However, I think the High Elves definitely have some tools that can make life miserable for the vampires as well. The interesting pieces of that matchup is like Alariel with the healing. She's one of the few units that can actually heal with the best of them, kind of like the vampire counts do. Alariel with the Star of Avalorn and her other magic, I mean, she can really do some serious healing. And she's also got banishment and other things that can be useful in case you bring a small army and you're trying to get the vampires to blob on, like single entity models. She can heal up Star Dragons. She can heal up the Fireborn. Fireborn. Dragon Princess, she can heal them, and they're a deadly unit against the vampires with fire damage and anti-large. So yeah, there's a lot of things that the elves, I think, have as tools. If they can use their skirmishers effectively, they can be very good against the vampires. But, you know, that's the challenge we're going to end up with. So this is going to end up being another victory for Lord Oblivion. He sent me a bunch. Said he'd been on a roll. And, you know, he played well in all the games. I'm not casting these like that he's infallible or something, but I like these. These were good replays from someone who is clearly having some fun on the ladder. He's picked a faction, at least for the time being, right? And he's playing that faction and doing a good job of understanding their strengths in the matchups that he came into here. And again, this doesn't mean you're going to win every battle, but I think it puts you in a competitive position. And he's gotten himself some good victories here, and, you know, something to be proud of. So in case any of you all were wondering a little more about ladder, that was the reason why I cast these two. I haven't gotten a ton of time to dedicate to ladder. There's YouTubers out there who are certainly more focused on the competitive aspects of this game. Dov Plays is one who's a part of the community on my channel, who runs his channel as well, and he does a great job. Tyrion obviously does a lot of tournaments and stuff, and there's more people doing that type of stuff. So if you all love that, I'm sure you've probably seen them already before me. But I also was trying, you know, I just wanted to branch out, make sure that I'm not covering the same thing all the time on the channel. So we'll make sure and keep rotating through some stuff, and I need to get some ladder play in myself. But thanks to Oblivion, thanks to Black, yeah, however it is here, for the game. I enjoyed it. Hey, and if you all enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe so you can see more, and hit that like button. It's a very easy thing to do. It helps me a ton. If you want to support the channel, get down there in the comments, leave a comment, leave a like, leave a dislike if you dislike it. I mean, seriously, you can leave a dislike if you don't. Tell me why. I'd love to hear what I can do better on. Anyway, HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I will see you soon with some more Total War Warhammer 2 action.